If you watch the R video, you know why I'm eating licorice now. Hello everyone, I'm Janell and SLP Peep, and you are watching the SLP Peep channel. All throughout the month of September, we are talking about articulation, which is a subject I never thought I would go into in this channel. Not because I have anything against it, not because I don't do this all day long, which is a lie because I do this all day long. I just never wanted to get into this because I feel like it's a rabbit hole. So I never thought I would, so I'm only making it for this month only and for the sounds I want to do. And in all honesty, I'm getting away with it because I'm only making 2 videos about particular sounds. Now, how am I making a whole month about articulation and only getting away with 2 when I do 4 videos a month? Good question. Today is more about the history, what articulation is, and what's the difference between a letter and a phoneme, i.e. the sound. So the history of articulation. This is more along the lines for ASHA, the American Speech Language Hearing Association, because that's pretty much where I'm getting my source from. ASHA was founded in its very early years in the 1920s. And then they went silent, for lack of better terms, for a few years. And the reason why, because they were doing research. They were figuring out, oh, what's the best way to do this? What's not the best way to do that? We tried this and it worked out great. We tried that. It did not work out. So they went through quite a long time of just figuring out research. Thank heavens they did that. They stayed silent and just did a whole bunch of research. And when they finally formed what is now called the ASHA Big 9. Back then it was like the ASHA Big 1. ASHA, or whatever name they went by at that time, basically stated speech language pathologists are to work on articulation, speech sound disorders. Articulation was pretty much one of the very first things we worked on. Other things were added in to become 9 different things, and I still need to create a timeline for when everything came in. So that's pretty much the history of articulation with ASHA. What is it? Now, articulation is how sounds are produced. It's how everything works together to produce a sound. First, let's talk about the articulators. Depending on what source you go to, depends on how they classify things as articulators. Some people get very detailed with it, some people don't. What do I mean by very detailed? I once read an article where it said the upper lip and bottom lip are 2 different things. I'm under the impression of just call them the lips. The lips are an articulator. If something is troubling with one of them, make a note of that. But they're still lips. Going along with that, they also wanted to mention the top teeth and bottom teeth as 2 different articulators. The main articulators I want to bring up are the lips, teeth, tongue, which ironically you don't really see the tongue when I say tongue, alveolar ridge, which is the bump behind your top teeth, hard palate, soft palate, and the diaphragm, because let's face it, we need that sucker in order to get air out. Oh, the other articulator, the voice box, which isn't really a box, it's just your vocal folds turning on and off. Like seriously, if you want to feel your voice box turn on, start humming and feel for it. Mine is actually really up high, so mine's here. I once met someone where their vocal folds were, oh, this is looking awkward. Their vocal folds are down here. Wherever it vibrates the most, that's pretty much going to be where your vocal box is, or your vocal folds. I should call it vocal folds from here on. Those are your articulators. Some people like to add the postpharyngeal wall. Some people do, some people don't. It all depends on how you want to classify them for the day. Man, what else did I say I was going to do? So we went over the history. We kind of went over what articulation is. It was just a very quick mission statement. Articulation is the way you pronounce sounds, how you use your articulators to manipulate the air coming out of your mouth to make sounds that are recognized as words, and I can totally make that sound really creepy. Sorry about that. What is the difference between letters and sounds? Letters are the written format of communication, not necessarily the written expression of sounds. If you speak a language that is more consistent than English is, if you have a language that has a writing system that is true to sound, then chances are your letters can act as phonemes. But if your language is English, no. Our written system and phonetics, or the sound alphabet, different. And the best way to give an example of this is to give examples. I need to grab my book. This is my best book for example on why the spoken language cannot be correlated with the written language. So what do I mean by the written language is not consistent? Let me pose these words out to you. Smile, dance, circles, and bus. All of those words had a s sound in it. You might be thinking of the letter S, in which I say, normally you're right, but what about circle and dance? Okay, maybe that's a hard one because it's a C, and we all know IEY rule, which is when there's a C and is followed by an IEY, then it makes a S sound. So obviously that's not going to work. What about the sh sound? Well, there's the word brush, ends in an SH. What about ocean? So the written language is not true to sound. And then we have the J sound, as in bridge, magic, gem, June, and judge. That one sound, the J sound, DGE, a G, followed by an E, granted, J. That one sound could be written so many different ways. So letters and sounds don't always match up, especially in the English language. Another example of this is the word box. I know, simple, right? It's a box. How many sounds does the word box have in it? If you said 3, you are thinking of letters. If you think 4, you are thinking of sounds. Let's break it up. B, A, K, S, K, S. That's the English equivalence of the International Phonetic Alphabet for the X sound. Are 2 different sounds put together? Yes. But you're able to separate them. So this was very much a crash course on phonetics, sounds, letters, articulation, the history, what's so important about it, and why it matters. If you still don't believe me that articulation matters, please answer the question of the day. And the question of the day is, what are my 3 statements right now? Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a terrific day. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.